people could fix them. I just don't want to. Oh, I went too far. I actually went through all of TallHotBlond. Okay.
Welcome to the Happenings podcast.
Panicked as always. So, to start over as our second time, so hopefully I get through this without giggling as much.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, I am calling internet to IRL because I think I'm funny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is known in the community as TallHotBlond.
Mm.
It's one of the internet's first catfishing cases that led to a murder. I think it is the first one that led to a murder. It might be one of the first that was actually like a catfishing case.
Mm-hmm.
The internet can be a wonderful place full of knowledge, funny videos, or in my case, pull me into several government watch lists because I had to Google what human bones taste like. Don't ask, don't tell, the hobbies. It does not, I'm not licking the bones that I currently have in my house that are human. I do have one, it's in my room, it's framed, I named her.
Comment below what you think the name is.
I mean, we got 2 people watching this, so they both know.
Comment below what you think the name is, and if you already know, don't be a narc.
The name is Abby Normal instead of Abnormal. Abby Normal.
Well,
I like her.
there you go.
Of course, we've all been warned to not trust internet strangers.
Mm-hmm.
This is a learned trait, sadly. So, let's start off with the case. In 2005, Thomas Montgomery was in his home on his computer doing what many people did in 2005. He was in an internet chat room. Again, in 2005, I was 3 years old. Specifically, the chat room he was in was Pogo. As we've told, you were not on Pogo. You were on AOL?
Pipe down. Calm down. Backtrack. I was on Omegle and Chat Roulette. Those are the only ones that I knew of during my decade.
I thought AOL was popular during that time.
Not for me.
Okay, I might just not be knowing anything. I'm a dumb kid. I don't know what to tell you.
Stop.
I'm having fun.
Anyways, proceed.
So basically, Pogo was where you could play online arcade games, basically, while chatting to other people. So they had poker.
Wait.
They had like Go Fish of some sort because it was meant for different age rooms.
I may have been on Pogo.
Okay. To be fair, there's a lot of internet chat rooms that had like arcade games on them.
Mm.
I did look up quite a few. Don't look up them. Sometimes you get weird messages when you're just.
I was on
things.
Swinky when I was younger, and that was horrific.
I only just found out that I can't remember my internet chat room that was like fun for my age range, but it's where it was video calls that would just randomly pop up, where sexual predators would just jerk off into the camera.
That's Omegle.
Yeah,
That got shut down recently.
That's what I was about to say. It's finally got shut down. It should have been shut down so much earlier.
Sad times.
Not really.
Not really.
Sorry, as I pull up my thing. Chat with strangers around the country. Thomas preferred playing poker because he was a man of his late 40s.
Mm-hmm. Fits it well.
Yeah, Thomas was having a midlife crisis in his late 40s. He had 2 teenage daughters who were both becoming independent and needing him less and less, and his marriage wasn't in the best of shape. Thomas was looking for an escape from reality when a message popped up in the chat room from the user TallHotBlond. This does come up later. The problems with his marriage is that he was having ED, erectile dysfunction. That's the correct termination. So him and his wife were no longer having sex. So when TallHotBlond suddenly popped in, it was something new, something adventurous. They both started talking, and I'm so sorry, but we do have to point out his username, because if I'm going to make fun of her username of TallHotBlond, his username was Marine Sniper. This is a man in his 40s, and he sounds like he's 14.
That does sound like a Call of Duty username.
Right.
It does sound very Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. I had to ask some of my friends what their high school usernames were, and it's not much better. In fact, it might be worse. This username came about because Thomas was in the Marines in his early teens. Thomas was a bit weary of chatting with TallHotBlond, but soon responded. He learned during this conversation that TallHotBlond's real name was Jessica, which I will be calling her for the rest of this because TallHotBlond is a mouthful. She was from West Virginia, and Thomas was located in Buffalo, New York, so they're several miles away from each other. And she was a senior in high school. She was only 18 years old.
I feel like I saw that coming.
I mean, how could you not? Reminder, Thomas is in his late 40s. So TallHotBlond, or Jessica, pointed out that he was in the wrong chat room. The chat room he was in was actually meant to be for teenagers. You couldn't be past the age of 18. Like, 18 was your cutoff, basically. Or sorry, she's 17 at this point. She becomes 18 later on. So she's 17. When you turn 18, you get kicked out of the chat room because it's supposed to be a safe space for kids.
So is that something that, like, the room itself would realize the age that you put in to make your account?
You were just supposed to.
Oh, it was self-governed.
Yes.
Okay.
You were just supposed to be a good human being.
So that didn't happen?
No, there's no way. It was probably consistently filled with, like, creepy old men and women.
Yeah, it's basically you're telling the creepers, hey, this is where
this is the place you're going to go. Yeah, it's...
To find them. Yeah.
Thomas could have told her the truth, thanked her, and moved on with his life, but sadly, this is not how this case ends. No, Thomas Montgomery told Jesse that he was not in the wrong chat room and that he was an 18-year-old man named Tommy. Great.
I love how he switched from Thomas to Tommy to make it younger.
I think that's exactly why he did it.
That's so gross.
Yeah, he's gross. He also told her he was going to be deployed off to Iraq soon for the war. Because, might as well start all the lies.
That's insane.
He even sent a picture to prove who he was. And he did indeed send him a photo of, like, himself.
It was a 40-year-old man.
It was a photo that was taken almost 30 years before when he was indeed 18 years old and in the military. He sent her a real photo of him.
But wouldn't, like, she realize that, like, the photo that we will put up here was, like, dated as far as photography style?
No.
Like, quality?
I pulled up some of them, and the photos he sent looks...
It doesn't look that old.
No.
Or it looks like military style photos.
So I found that a lot of the military style photos have a lot of airbrushing done to them. My grandfather's photo from when he was deployed to Vietnam, different story, is so incredibly airbrushed it looks like a painting, but that's because my family has crazy cystic acne, and they were covering up his cystic acne on his face, so it's super airbrushed.
Yeah. I didn't think they even did that.
Oh yeah, they will make it so in case you die. It's the photo they use in case you die. We just have it framed in my house because, the times. But this is the photo he basically sent over. This is what he actually looks like. Because he's
insane.
40.
That's insane.
Thomas was later interviewed and talked about how at this point in time he was recovering from being an alcoholic and working as a... I forgot how to speak for a second. Machinist. A job he was good at but did not enjoy. He stayed due to the pay. He adored his two daughters, who were almost the same age as Jessica. One of them was 18 and one of them was a little younger.
Oh, he shouldn't have
One of them's
daughters.
A senior in high school. One of them's I think a junior or freshman. Like, a little bit old. Or no, she would have been a sophomore or freshman.
Nasty.
Yeah. Again, Thomas's marriage wasn't doing well due to the lack of sex life, and the lack of excitement. And Jessica, the lack of excitement was soon resolved by Jessica. Don't mind my binder. I have lovely binders. Tommy and Jessica started sending photos back and forth to each other and getting flirtier and flirtier between both of them. Jessica was the first to... Jessica's first photo back to him was a photo of her in her bathing suit. But as time went on, the photos got more revealing.
So he has child porn now.
Yeah, because she's 17.
Amazing.
They're not nude. None of them are nude. But they are...
Lewd?
They're lewd. again, in the documentary, there are like parts where like you can tell what the photos are. They blur them, but like you know what they are. There is a photo up her skirt.
That's crazy.
Like you can't see anything, but like
it's suggestive.
It's very suggestive, and the fact that he's 40.
That's nasty.
Yeah. She started sending more revealing photos of herself, and Thomas also sent her photos back, such as his old military photos because he was quote-unquote war-bound. That's what he told her. She thought he was going off to war. He would tell her about what boot camp was like, and then eventually these lies involved him telling about secret missions he was sent on.
Oh, God.
Because that's what our government is okay with. They are totally cool with you, an 18-year-old, telling other people about these secret missions they're sending you on as a sniper. I will say, the government, everyone like who goes into the military wants to do like sniper jobs like that. When you talk to some 18-year-olds, like
I want to be a snapper.
Yeah, if they're gonna go into the military, they want to do like something like that. It's such a low percentage that you can actually do that. It's something like 0.01% of people in the military actually are snipers because it's a difficult job. He hinted at dark missions that he quote unquote couldn't risk her knowing too much about. And documented release in 2020 showed that Thomas was never even trained as a sniper, which was a big part of his fantasies. He wasn't. He was just a run-of-the-mill kid. Because again, they don't really put 18-year-olds on that. Like, you have to be so specially trained.
Like, trained. That's crazy.
In fact, he never even saw action when he was in the military.
Oh my God. So he, like, cosplayed.
Yeah, he's cosplaying. He's writing a fan fiction for himself.
That's insane.
He said that he was 6 feet tall and built like a brick house. He also introduced...
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because of course he did. He's already lying about his age. He's going to lie about everything. And maybe when he was 18, he was. I don't think he was. He's not 6 feet tall.
How was she sending these photos and, like, he was, like, never sending anything back?
No, he sent her military photos. He just didn't send her, like, steamy ones.
That seems...
I mean, like, there's probably photos of him, like, where he's, like, shirtless, or... I know that when one of my friends went into the military, like, there were, like, photos that he took of himself, like, being a dude bro.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm sure he had something to send back to her.
Yeah. To make it less sus.
And probably he had things saved because he was dating his wife when he was in the military, so he was probably writing her letters.
I mean... That's a good point.
Yeah, so he probably had something stashed. I didn't see any of his photos. I just saw like his normal military ones. He also introduced Jessica to other people in his life online, such as his father, who was also him. He just made multiple accounts. He was also pretending to be building such a... He was also pretending to be. Ugh, sorry. To be building such a web of lies, Thomas was growing nervous about all this online time and the love affair, because it's hard to keep your mind straight consistently.
Yeah.
Like, pretending to be two people is hard enough, especially when you're already pretending the one person is you from 30 years ago.
And then the other person's probably just older than you.
Or his age. It was his age. His father was in his 40s.
Oh, God.
So he was nervous about the online love affair, and that is why he introduced the father character, saying that this father character kept saying that they needed to stop talking to his son, but then Thomas would log back in and would immediately fall back into talking with Jessica. So he was constantly just basically throwing this girl back and forth of, you can't talk to him, don't you dare talk to him, how dare you do this to his life, and then him logging back on as Tommy and being like, oh no, don't listen to him, like, I want to be with you, I want to talk to you.
I feel like that's psychosis.
It's insane. He was losing his mind. Like, he was truly
How did he
believing
have
the fantasies.
all the time to do this and, like, his wife is not noticing?
His wife and him weren't really into each other. Like, it had been quite a few years where they're just like, they were basically
like roommates.
Roommates that lived in a house, because all they were doing is surviving long enough so their kids wouldn't like think anything of it.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. Since he was pretending to be his dad and then him and then back and forth, he was creating such a dramatic affair. He was creating a dramatic affair. My parents will think this is funny. I, in middle school and high school, was attracted to the most dramatic of people. I really love dramaticness. Reading this case gave me such horrible flashbacks where I was like, oh my god, this was me. And my parents knew this. Oh, this is terrible. I have cringed.
They could see it from a mile away.
Oh, I don't know how they did. Like, they make fun of me still. They make fun of me for my middle school boyfriend. To this day, his name is Gavin. Recently, Gavin and I had a class together in college, and he made a point of coming up to me and being like, you don't know who I am? Oh, that's so hurtful. And that's when I clocked who he was.
I remember you. Oh my god. No,
So yeah,
actually drama.
I date very dramatic men. Not my current one. He's mostly normal.
He's level.
He's level. He's more level than me. At this point in their relationship, they had grown to gift giving. They had each other's addresses. They were also saying "I love you" to each other. Again, he's 40, she's 17.
Disgusting.
They also started online and phone sex. Gross.
That's foul. That's foul.
Jessie, this girl, has told Thomas she was 17. Thomas was old enough to be her father, was actually her father's around his age. For no one to think that was weird, like for him never to clock that was weird is pretty concerning to me. At the time when they started the phone sex, his daughter and Jessie were the exact same age.
That's gross.
Yeah. Thomas said...
How was this not noticed by the parents of the girl?
I get to that. Yeah. I feel really bad for Jessie in the end of this. Like, she got the shittiest end of this. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. She's much better now. She does a bunch of talks.
Okay, so she's still alive.
She is. Jessie survives this. She's doing great. She almost didn't survive this, but we'll get to that. Thomas said that when the online sex began, this is when he started to feel really dirty, and he said that he was, quote, in too deep to back out now. Bullshit. You could have logged off.
What do you mean?
What
do you mean? Absolutely not.
He was also starting to lose his grip on reality, stating that his online life...
Starting?
Okay, so he was probably a couple steps into it, but he was, like, really starting to lose the grip. He was really starting to lose the grip of his own life. That online life for him had become more real than his actual life. And then we get to January 2nd of 2006. This is a year... now, because yeah, they started in 2005. It is now 2006. They've gone a full year of talking. On January 2nd of 2006, Thomas wrote himself a note saying, quote, on this day, January 2nd, 2006, Thomas Montgomery, 46-year-old, ceases to exist and is replaced by 18-year-old battle-scarred Marine. He has money in the bank, $2.5 million. He is handsome, like a red-headed Harrison Ford. He then goes to talk about his penis for a very long time, and we're not gonna do this because, of course, a man who has erectile dysfunction is obsessed with his own dick. Quote:
I am like so whiplashed right now.
It's really
this just went in like 3 different directions. Proceed.
Quote: he's moving to West Virginia to be with the love of his life. How are you moving to West Virginia? You don't exist. You're not 18. You're not Tommy. You're not a redheaded Harrison Ford. You're a 46-year-old man. This is when things get really sad. Not for him, because fuck him, but for his family. I'm really sad for his wife who's being cheated on. And I'm really sorry to his daughters who he's betraying by dating someone who's their age. I'm also really sorry for the 18-year-old or 17-year-old he's grooming in this case, who thinks that she's in love with an 18-year-old of her same age range who has money to provide for them, who has this whole plan of living with her. He's prevented her from dating, basically, because she's dating this person.
Yeah, she hasn't experienced anything.
Yeah. It's really just upsetting that he rather choose to live this online idealized fantasy than just, divorcing his wife and meeting someone his own age, or fuck it, younger than him.
But not illegal?
But not 17. I mean, it would be fucking creepy if you dated an 18-year-old, but that's technically legal. It's gross, but it's technically allowed. But no, he'd rather just create this affair and cheat on his wife and fuck up his kids' lives and this girl's life. This affair didn't last forever because a little bit after that note was written, one of his daughters discovered the affair. I don't know which one of his daughters, but one of them did. She had borrowed his computer on that day borrowed his computer that day to do homework, and an instant message popped up from TallHotBlond. She went to her mom and showed her the message, which is a horrible thing that your kid has to do because, that's your dad, and she probably saw the message, and I can tell you that it was not an appropriate one for her to see.
That is
and then she's
earth-shattering.
Yeah, you have to choose whether or not you're willing to blow up your family because it's the right thing to do, but
yeah, there's a lot of wires attached to that.
Yeah, it's so fucked up. And this must have been really shitty for his wife, for her daughter to come forth and be like, hey, dad's cheating on you with this internet girl who's my age or older than me by just a little bit. Cindy, Thomas's wife, that's her name, started digging. She kind of knew something was up, but she had to go farther. She knew that he was spending a lot of time on the internet.
He was pulling away.
But she just assumed that he was, gambling.
Okay.
Which, yeah, makes sense. He's spending a lot of time on the internet. He's on this chat room thing where you can play video games. He's being real weird. Gambling makes the most sense. She finds the love letters. She also finds lingerie, specifically a pair of red underwear that her 46-year-old husband sent to the 18-year-old.
So did he have photos of her in lingerie?
She had worn them and sent them back to him. She also they also found chats in a necklace or chain that was engraved with Tommy and Jesse, that Jesse had sent to Thomas, because she's an 18-year-old. But that means she spent money on it.
Yeah.
All of this and provocative photos, completely inappropriate photos.
Oh my god.
Again, there is no nudes, but they are provocative. So if you're not comfortable with seeing that, I don't recommend watching
the documentary.
The dramatization one has the same guy who plays the dad in Raising Hope.
Oh.
That one's much easier to watch because it's not entirely
It's
easier,
more
but
movie-like.
It's more movie-like. I didn't prefer it. I only watched about half of it before I was like, oh, this is not providing me with any real information that I can use, so I just switched over. So I can't confirm that the entire thing's good. But from what I saw, it was much less
exposed.
Yeah. This is when she found out that her husband is pretending to be an 18-year-old. She didn't know until she found the chats. She thought that her 46-year-old husband was dating a 17-year-old.
And she was just
No, she was pissed.
Okay.
And she was mad at him. But then she found out that, oh no, the 17-year-old doesn't even know
how
that
old he is.
He's lying.
I hope she has a redemption thing where she reaches out to the women supporting women.
A lot of time was spent talking with Jessica that night. This is what she later said to Lisa. He would spend a lot of time talking to Jessica at night. He would stay up all night talking to Jessie, and then would go to work at 7 a.m. He basically didn't sleep. He would stay up all night, go to work at 7 a.m., get home, fall asleep, wake back up, and stay all night on the computer again. So he was he had a completely fucked sleep schedule.
That's crazy.
Cindy, being who she was, wrote a letter to Jesse explaining who her husband really was, and even enclosed a family photo of their daughters, and who he really was, like a picture of him at 46.
Oh my god, watch him try to gaslight her and be like, no, that's like a crazy ex of mine and their family, and she does this all the time.
I have a little clip of the letter because I found the letter like in entirety, and this is the best part. In my
if
opinion.
I find a photo of it, I will put it up here for the
I'll send
viewers.
you the photo. It's great.
Yeah.
Jesse, enclosed you will find a picture of my family. Let me introduce you to these people. The man in the center is Tom, my husband. There is no Tommy. He's taken advantage of you. You need to be much more cautious of your safety. You will only be hurt by a man who has mastered the art of manipulation and lies. Do not trust a word on the computer, Sydney. She didn't blame this child, which is good because one, it's not the child's fault, and two, that's really hard to do.
Yeah. I'm surprised that she didn't tell her that she should get involved with the police or something.
I mean, there's more into it where she says to be more cautious and she should tell someone, but I think she was really hoping that this child would go to her parents.
Yeah, and they
would say something. Because it can be hard trying to figure out the line between oh, you're almost an adult. I think at this time she had become 18. And trying to navigate you're not my kid, but I need to make sure that you're okay.
Yeah.
And also she has to now worry about her husband, who is a predator. When Jessie gets this letter in the mail, she immediately texted Thomas, telling him how much she hated him and how he should be in jail for what he had done.
Damn right.
She also wanted to double check to see if this was true. Understandably, this is a crazy portrayal, and she contacted one of Thomas's coworkers that she had met online. Basically...
not a fake profile?
Not a fake profile. So while Thomas was playing an online game, one of his coworkers had joined into the chat, was just talking with him normal. Because again, yeah.
So did his coworker think that was his wife?
Well, he couldn't see. They had a private chat, and then he had a private chat with. And she just could see that they were all talking together. They didn't have a message of all three of them. It's not the same as a group chat. It was two separate messages, but you could see who was online.
Gotcha.
When you're on Teams, you can see who's online talking. She contacted Brian Barrett. Brian was a part-time mechanist also, or he worked on machinery. He was machinist. Thank you. He was the oldest of his parents' kid at 22 years old, and he was going to school to become a teacher. And everyone who knew him stated that they liked him very much. He was a kind soul. He spent his summers coaching Little League and was currently helping his father coach soccer. And he would often talk about a truck that he had just bought himself with his own money he saved up from his part-time job. He's just a 22-year-old kid just living life. Yeah. You're making a face.
I'm so intrigued with where this is going to go because I've been surprised at 3 parts already.
Oh yeah, it only gets more surprising from here.
And this is very convoluted.
Yeah. He had met Jessie online through Thomas while playing games together. Thomas and Brian weren't really friends, but Brian had been to one of his family's dinners. So Brian knew his wife and his 2 daughters. And Brian's closer in age to his 2 daughters, and in which case he's closer to the age of Jessie than he was to Thomas or anyone else.
So he's a verifiable source.
Yeah. So he's a verifiable source.
Okay.
Little League. He liked to talk about his truck that he just got from his part-time job. He had met Jessie online through Thomas while playing video games. They weren't really friends, but he had been over for dinner. But it was news to him that Thomas was dating an 18-year-old. He just thought that they was this chat, because they just talked to people online. He didn't realize it was an 18-year-old, or he had just turned 18.
Yeah.
Over the internet, and it was even bigger news that he was pretending to be an 18-year-old.
But I thought he knew the wife and kids.
He does. He didn't know that Thomas was pretending to be an 18-year-old to date this other 18-year-old.
That's so crazy.
Brian did confirm that Thomas was indeed 46 years old, had a wife, and 2 kids who were almost her age or already her age.
That is so disgusting.
He then began comforting Jessie, and through talking with each other, they found out they had a lot in common.
Oh,
And
no,
soon their
no,
messages turned flirty.
No.
Yeah.
This dude have like a whole backup game plan?
No, it's not. They're actually two separate people. Brian's a real person. He's a real person.
But is he actually that old?
Yeah, he's 22.
Okay.
No, here, let me pull up a photo of him. Like
Photo here-ish again.
he is actually 22.
Okay.
Yeah, just a 22-year-old kid. Jessie then messaged Thomas saying that she had moved on to someone bigger and better.
That was fast though. That was funny.
I mean, it is a while longer. I've shortened it down. I can't remember the exact amount of days because I wrote this a while ago. But
Yeah.
like it was.
It had a good buffer. I mean, it's
high
betrayal.
school.
So
It had high school buffer.
high school buffer.
High school buffer. Anywhere between 3 days to like a week and a half. Again, she's in high school.
What happens?
Yeah. And he was a jackass. Brian started talking about his newfound relationship at work and told everybody what Thomas had done to Jessie. That he had lied to her, that he had dated her, that he was a predator,
You're
all that
going
fun
to jail.
stuff. Technically he couldn't because she was 18 at this point.
At that point, but there's proof that she wasn't at a lot of the point. No. Oh no.
He doesn't go to jail for that.
For that?
When Thomas found out, he was pissed. People at work started making it known that they were disapproving of his actions, and it made his life much more difficult at work and at home. Because of course his wife's fucking pissed at him.
Oh, boo-hoo, little boy.
Yeah. Jessie and Brian were obviously into each other and working together to let everyone know in different chat rooms who Thomas was. They just start messaging chat rooms like, hey, if this person logs in, this is who they are, this is what they did, this is what they lied about, like, don't trust them. They were just, like, throwing,
Bombing.
like, yeah, they made sure that everyone knew, and his entire life was set on fire. It was great.
I love to see it.
That's, like, my favorite part of the little documentaries, when you get to see their little messages pop up of just, like, completely trashing him.
I love that. That's teamwork.
They let everyone know he was a pedophile. Although she is technically at legal age, it's gross, and I will continue to refer to him as a pedophile. He's not convicted of pedophilia or anything of the sort,
But he was a pedophile.
yeah, even when she's 18, she's 18, and he's 40-fucking-6. Because of all of this drama, lying about his age and lying about who he was, his account got banned. And Thomas was getting more upset by the day. You're not allowed to be upset. He's a big baby. You don't get to be upset. On a separate platform, Thomas messaged Jessie asking her why she was doing this to him. He promised to leave her alone after this, but asked if she would stop telling people what he had done to her.
Doing this to him.
You're such a big baby. He's such a big baby.
Doing this to him.
Now, Jessie had
What a
every
pity.
right. Yeah. Jessie had every right to blast Thomas for his misdeeds all over the internet, all over real life, all of this. But then, Jessie started playing both sides.
Oh.
On one hand, she would talk about how gross and creepy Thomas was in the chat rooms, but then privately messaged him saying that she missed him and she wanted to be with him. Saying things like, I ache to be with Tommy. Do you miss it, Tom? She's 18. I can't expect a person without a fully formed brain to make good decisions.
Mm-hmm.
She's in high
Who'd
school.
been groomed
Who'd
the
been
entire
groomed.
time
So
for
of course
over
she
a
missed,
year?
yeah. So of course she misses this idealization of an 18-year-old. And I understand why she misses this pretend version. Of course she does. She was hurt. She got tricked. She feels probably like she would, like, I know that when I get tricked, I get very defensive, and then I feel like I was stupid, even though someone else was tricking me. So it's not my own fault. But
Yeah, the manipulation runs deep.
yeah,
Those are lasting. That will be lasting scars, because that's like a very like developmental age.
yeah.
So
There are several messages from TallHotBlond saying that she wanted to be with this Tommy, and Thomas would respond saying how he missed hearing her call him that. And he wished that he could be 18, now 19, by this, like, the age time he would have been 19 by this point. that 19-year-old Marine for her. There was another exchange where they tried to move past things and be friends, where Jesse said that Thomas should let Tommy live on in his heart because she would always have him living in hers. Because of course.
Yeah, the idea of it.
Yeah. They then reintroduced themselves. Thomas stated, "Hi, I am Tom. I am 47. It was Jesse's birthday. A former Marine. Jessie introduced herself as, "Hi, I'm Jessie. I'm 18 years old, and I just graduated high school." She said this in all caps, but one day she told Thomas that she accepted him for who he was, really, and she wanted to be back together with him again. Because, of course, she was groomed.
Oh, this didn't have the ending I like.
We got several more pages.
Please fix it.
Thomas was over the moon. He still wanted to marry, he was still married to Cindy and was trying to work things out in their marriage. He's also 47, and she is still only 18.
So the marriage hasn't ended.
No, they're trying to work things out.
Okay.
But I mean, like, okay, so this was in the early 2000s. To my knowledge, Cindy didn't work. She was
A stay-at-home mom?
yeah, taking care of her kids. Even if she did work, he makes more money than she probably did. And
So she needs the financial support.
and also they had 2 kids together. Like, there's probably that tie of like you want to get it okay for your kids' sake.
I mean, I don't know though, because like, since
Yeah.
the kids are very similar in age, I wouldn't want my kids anywhere near him.
Yeah,
That's the part that bothers me. Like, I would immediately be getting like housing, like Section 8 or something, or like free housing.
I also think that you and I would have made many better and different decisions. But I don't know what was going on for her. I think
Yeah,
there's a lot of
it's hard to
she
say.
probably really needed the financial support
Yeah.
because her kids are about to go off to college. That's going to cost a fuck ton.
Yeah.
So Jesse and him got back together again, and the problems between Thomas and Cindy started up all over again. Cindy would ask him to get off the computer, and he would tell her, quote, "When I'm done." Oh, I would have smacked him in the head. I do not respond well to people telling me to basically go fuck myself. I would have
After
smacked him in his
all
head.
of this too, after all of this, that's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking horrifying. He would talk about Jesse like a drug, saying that he couldn't just end it. Thomas and Jesse's relationship was just the same as it was last time, if not more sexual than it had been. The explicit messages are fucking gross. The documentary TallHotBlond has a bunch of them. If you want to see them for yourself, but I will not be going into the details because it is truly fucking gross. I don't handle like cringe well. I don't handle any of that well. And
That's so crazy. That
watching
I
them
mean, I
pop
get
up.
it in the documentary, but that's so crazy to put it in.
she's 18 at this point in time, so like
No, I know,
yeah.
but still knowing the backstory, that's so
it's
crazy.
so gross. It is like actually like
Because you're
disgusting.
watching someone who was so mentally like manipulated,
it looks,
who hasn't broken out of it either, and like
at the end of
you're
this
like
you'll see
watching
why.
it from the outside.
At the end you'll see why they included them. It becomes
Okay.
very important. But then one day, the whole story flipped. Jessie told Thomas that she had made a mistake and that she was more similar in age and had more in common with Brian, and that she only knew that after she had lost him that she wanted to go back. So she flipped right back. She was going back to Brian. Jessie broke things off for the second time and went back to Brian, and Thomas was not sad this time. He was enraged. You don't get to be enraged. You're 47. Chill out.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Most of his anger was now directed to Brian, who he saw every day, which only made things dangerous for Brian. Brian was telling his coworkers about how Jessie and him were seeing each other again and how they had made plans to meet up in real life. So Thomas was trying to listen in on all of this and on Brian's conversations, and he came to the conclusion that Brian only wanted to meet Jessie so they could sleep together. And this was something that had made him incredibly mad. It had made him mad for a very disgusting reason.
Oh.
Now,
Oh there, sister. I'm
Now
right
at this
there,
point,
sister.
he's fucking pissed off. He's upset at Thomas. This upset Thomas because back when Jessie thought he was 18-year-old Tommy, she had told him that she was a virgin, and he had said he wanted to be the first person to take her virginity.
Well, there it is. That's disgusting. That's...
Fuck the whole way off. Fuck the whole way off. Like,
That is such like an ownership kink.
it's
That's
just gross.
so disgusting. That's so disgusting.
It's repulsive.
That's so disgusting.
I don't understand why that's like, one, virginity is not real. It's made up concept that was created during Protestantism because it made sure that women wouldn't have other men's babies because originally it wasn't that big of a deal. It was also used to impose restrictions on Native Americans. Like, it's fucking bullshit. It's made up. It's not real. And I can't believe it's still a thing.
That's so upsetting.
Yeah, it's gross.
I'm holding out hope that you're not going to tell me next that she felt so bad about that she like, okay, cause like that would be fucking insane. Not that the whole story hasn't been, but you know.
Thomas is quoted as saying, quote, but now Brian is going to take her virginity.
I'm glad he didn't say deflower because
That's
I
grosser
was
somehow. It's
It
just
is.
grosser.
It is, and I really thought that's where we were going.
This, of course, pissed him off because he's a fucking loser and a fucking pedophile. He would go home from work and sign in and harass Jessie, calling her names. Here's a warning for some misogynistic language and threats because, of course, there is. This is also the point in time where, in the documentary TallHotBlond, I actually had to pause it because I got so revolted. And I'll explain why. He called her a whore and said that, quote, the only time he wanted to see her again is if she was being gang raped, and then he used a slur for people who he wanted to be raping her. And I think we can figure out what slur he had used.
Oh my god.
They don't blur the slur in the documentary, by the way.
That's crazy!
That's why I had to pause it, is because I was
That's
reading and I saw
crazy!
it. And I want to point out, this man is white. It was so jarring to like see
Where is
that.
this available for streaming?
Oh god, let me find out again.
Because you know what? Like, I know Netflix is getting more and more out there, but I feel like that's a lot even for them. So
It wasn't Netflix I watched
I
this
feel
on.
like Prime or Hulu is gonna take that ownership.
I watched it on Apple TV. It's also available on Amazon Prime, Fandango at Home, Google Play Movies. Oh no, sorry, I watched it on Amazon Prime. I wasn't watching it on Apple TV.
Yeah.
We have to probably beep out that word for that last part of who gang assaulted her.
Graped?
Graped.
Yeah.
Just because I know YouTube's not going to be a fan of that.
No.
So yeah, he used the slur. The documentary uses this. He actually uses the slur in quite a few times in the documentary.
That is fucking crazy.
They do not block this, and it is jarring to see the slur if you are not ready for it. Again, I paused the entire documentary and I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to bed. I'm going to go read a book about like
Vampires
and dumb romance. This is when I really got into Twilight, when I was doing this.
You're like, I need a palate cleanse now!
I got through the first 2 books because of this case, because I just had to pause that documentary.
And then they imprinted on a baby.
That's the third. That's the 3rd book, okay? I wasn't there yet. I was just at crazy age gaps, which wasn't better.
No.
Oh, I've read too many of those books. And then Thomas said how for now 10 cents he would kill Brian, which is a threat. He wrote this threat out and sent it, which...
Did he go to jail for that one?
No one even reported that. They found that out after the
Is he
fact.
still out and free?
Yeah, he's just vibing. He's just chilling.
Who's gonna dox him?
No one.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
Proceed.
He said that he is, quote, the ultimate weapon. He is a Marine. Dude, you're a fucking loser. You're 47. Chill the fuck out. You didn't even
The
see
ultimate
action.
weapon who was never a sniper and never saw any action at all.
No, but he was a Marine. You know who? What else? Like I have a family friend who went to the military and was there for 2 years and then wasn't anymore. And you know what? I still think I could probably kick his butt. So I don't think it means anything that you were in the fucking military. Congrats. He's also a coward and a racist, and he deserves to have his internet taken away. Jesse asked him what he was going to do to Brian. He said, and then he goes, quote, "Let's just say that piece of shit boyfriend came within a, and then a derogatory term for a woman's genitals, hair of dying."
Yep, that's what I thought it was.
Just gross. It's just a gross thing to say.
You can use your inferencing brain.
I can probably just write it because I don't think
it's also a cat.
Yeah. He's just a misogynistic piece of shit who's also a racist and a pedophile.
Yes.
Threatening that Brian will pay with blood. He had completely lost his grip on reality at this point. Like he is a completely just.
I thought he wanted 10 cents like 10 minutes ago. Now it's blood.
Yeah. But Jesse was concerned for Brian and told him to keep Thomas away from his truck. And they talked about telling the boss about
his
how
truck?
Yeah, his truck, Brian's truck that he had bought. Like she was worried that
he would vandalize it?
That he would cut the brakes.
Oh.
What do you mean? Like makes sense. He's threatening his life.
Are they still working? Like
yeah, they still work together.
That's crazy.
They're on the same shift.
How is HR not aware?
So they talked about telling their boss about what Thomas had tried, when Thomas had tried to hit him with his car in the parking lot at their work. But sadly, Brian never had the chance. So.
What do you mean? Don't do this.
So basically,
no.
Jesse had told Brian, like, hey, I'm really concerned and I'm worried about you. You should tell your boss about Thomas. And he's like, no way. Thomas actually just tried to hit me with his car in the parking lot today. And she's like, okay, you know what? Your boss gets in on Monday. Tell him. He's like, okay, I'm just going to work on Friday. It's going to be fine. On Friday, September 15th, at about 10 p.m., Brian was leaving work and was walking to his truck. He was one of the last people to leave work. When he got into his truck, he was seemingly out of nowhere, shot 3 times. Brian is sadly our victim. So he was seemingly shot out of nowhere 3 times. Brian's body was not reported as missing because of, unbeknownst to Thomas, Brian's plan to go to West Virginia that Friday. He was supposed to go from where his work was all the way to West Virginia, from Buffalo, New York, had been canceled by Jesse earlier that day. So everyone thought he was out with Jesse, and Jesse thought he had stayed home and was just ignoring her because he was upset that they canceled plans.
Oh my god.
So his body wasn't reported until Monday morning.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
that's upsetting.
It wasn't reported till Monday morning because at the last second, Jesse had canceled, saying that she wasn't ready to meet in person. He wasn't discovered till Monday morning when people started arriving at work. Everyone except for Thomas Montgomery. One of the shots had gone through his neck. He had slumped over in his truck, and he had bought himself and had been found in a pool of his own blood, dead unseen. Sorry, this part gets a little sad. They found shell casings at the scene, a peach pit, and one of Brian's back wheel tires had been slashed, so there was no way he was ever leaving. His back wheel tires were slashed, so like even if
that's so upsetting.
Yeah, even if he had gotten into
so he didn't go to jail for that either.
We're getting to it.
Okay, good.
Thomas does go to jail.
Okay.
This showed planning of the murder, so we can't rule this manslaughter or murder in the 2nd degree.
Would this be premeditated?
This is premeditated, which is murder of the 1st.
Okay.
So police started asking coworkers if Brian had any enemies, and of course,
everybody knew.
Everyone pointed towards Thomas because he's been threatening Brian at work. He's known for dating this 18-year-old. Brian's been saying shit about him at work. Like, he tried to hit him with a car on Thursday. By this point, Thomas Montgomery was nowhere to be found. So police grew worried that now, after Brian's death, that Thomas was going after Jesse. This is why I said it gets a little worse before it gets better for Jesse.
Okay.
After all, he did know her address because they've been sending things back and forth. So the search for her started in an unconventional way. They were originally trying to find out who she was by her trying to find her last name, because all they knew was her handle was TallHotBlond and that her name is Jessie. The police don't know that he has her address. They just assume that he's going after her. So they're like, okay, how we're gonna find this? We have to backtrack now. We have a first name and a general idea that she lives out of state.
That's crazy because they should have gotten involved way beforehand.
Someone should have told them.
God.
They were able to find out who she was via MySpace.
That's what's up. Don't look at me.
So one of the people who were helping out in the police, they were like one of the front desk people was particularly younger. She was 21, I think, 22 probably, and she was like, "Oh, why don't we just like look up West Virginia TallHotBlond? Because if she has that as her like handle there, she probably has it as her handle there." And found Jessie.
Oh my God.
This was one of the first times that social media was used to find a suspected victim ever in United States history. Like, this is that case.
Oh
It's
my
pretty
God.
great. If you have to take criminology classes, this case is brought up, which is how I found out about it. It's great. It was a good
Go
one.
MySpace.
Yeah. Now with an address for Jessie, they made their way to West Virginia. And when they arrived, an older woman opened the door saying that her name was Mary. Mary Scheller was Jessie's mom.
Okay.
Police started explaining the whole situation, the love triangle that her daughter is in, and explained that a young man had been killed with their growing concern for her daughter.
So the parents are probably like super in the dark, right? Like this is surprising to the parents, or do they know?
I mean, why would you think they would know? Like, they would not. I don't think any parents would willingly let their daughter do this if they knew.
No. I think, but it is that weird gray area of you're 18, so that maybe if they had a bad relationship
But she
with
was
her or
living
something.
with them. Like,
Yeah.
I know that I was 18. I didn't get to do anything. I had to like work real hard to be allowed to stay at my boyfriend's house overnight.
Mhm.
That was a big deal for me and my family. I think I was 19 when I was allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they were unaware of the extent that it had
Yeah.
gone to.
Okay. Gotcha.
They definitely were not aware that someone had been murdered.
That's so crazy.
They asked if she had in any way of contacting her old daughter. Sorry, contacting her 18-year-old daughter. They kept talking to her because it was a very odd and she was acting very odd, and suddenly, oh goodness gracious, I like jumped 3 pages. Starting over. They kept talking to her because of the way she was acting very odd, and suddenly Mary started crying and said that she had to admit something. Her daughter Jessie wasn't the one that was sending the messages to either men or the pictures. She was the one who was sending the gifts, talking on the phone, sent the photos, and the messages.
What?
Mary Scheller was using her real daughter's photos. Her daughter's real name was Jessie. And she used her kids' photos to keep up the persona of TallHotBlond.
How did she get the sleazy photos of the daughter?
Wait.
Oh no.
Her daughter also had no idea she was doing this.
Then how did she get? Oh no.
Mary Scheller is a gross piece of shit. She's a disgusting person.
You know, when you come to me with these cases, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Let's have a little chat.
I don't wanna.
Let's have a little chat.
I'm a little nervous.
I have a preconceived idea in my brain, right? A preconceived idea of how things are gonna go. You know, there's a bluept to this shit a lot of the time, you would think, right? Did anyone see that? Did anyone
No.
see that coming?
No. Which is why this is such a great, interesting case.
That's
'cause
crazy.
When you hear catfish, you're like, oh, okay, someone's being catfish. And then you hear that Thomas is catfish, you're like, okay, one catfish.
Makes sense.
It's very surprising that 2 adults were catfishing each other, pretending to be 18, and then that the only person who's fucking telling the truth, the 22-year-old, is the one that dies. She was sending photos of Jessie in bathing suits and upskirt photos to men she didn't know or her child could consent to.
So she was taking creep shots of her own kid?
Her own fucking child.
Oh, God.
So she actually took photos of her daughter. Like, the bathing suit ones were easy to do because Jessie was on, like, sports teams. So she was in swimming. So, like, they had, like, those photos, like, you know, the high school photos where, like, you're in your, like, suit
posing,
and, like,
yeah.
you're posing. And also, like, I'm sure, like, her kid had photos of herself on her own MySpace page.
Yeah.
And, like, all this stuff. But, like, yeah. The upskirt one is pretty horrific. And the way she got it is pretty horrific. Yeah. She also sent these to more men than just Thomas and Brian. She posted them online and being like, oh, men, like, oh, guys, what do you think of this?
So
Like,
she ruined her daughter's life before it's even begun. Love that.
Yeah, because it's attached to Jessie's real name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the police,
So that is her daughter's, like, real name.
her
That's
daughter's
incredible.
real name is Jessie Scheller.
That's
And those photos
incredible.
are attached to Jessie Scheller. That tripped up my lisp a little bit.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But that's crazy.
Yeah. So the police asked her to fill out a report and she said that the real Thomas had called her. She believed right after he had killed Brian, saying, quote, your boyfriend was real easy to take care of. Of course he did it right after he fucking killed him. He said that he said it was real easy to take care of him. That implies murder. Because he wasn't babysitting him. Just saying. You should have reported it from the fucking police. But you didn't because you knew you were a piece of shit. Whew.
That is fucking insane.
He then ended the call saying that no 18-year-old was going to best him. When the police did find Thomas, he told them that he had nothing to do with the death of Brian. That he said that night he was at home with his wife and daughters and that they would vouch for him.
Please tell me they didn't.
Sydney did not. She said that he did not get home till very late, giving him plenty of time to kill Brian. Because of course she fucking did. She's fucking done with this loser. He then put a lot of
How
pressure.
funny is it of karma to him for that to be another catfish? I mean, she's a piece of shit too.
Oh,
everyone's a piece of
she
shit.
should go to
but
crime.
that's
She should go to jail.
hilarious.
She should
to
go to
him.
jail for what she did to her daughter.
She doesn't? Oh!
It's technically not against the law. Thomas then kept trying to guilt his daughters over the phone, saying that if they didn't vouch for him, that he wouldn't be able to come home. Shitty thing to do, to guilt your kids into trying to protect yourself because you were a jackass who thought you were dating an 18-year-old who then killed a 22-year-old. How about this? Grow a fucking pair and get a life. Or sorry, don't grow a pair because the testosterone is probably what led him to do this bullshit.
Or lack of.
Just all of it. He's a piece of shit. Oh. Listening to these phone calls, his daughters are crying on the phone over this guilt trip. Both of these people fucking deserve each other. They both, Mary Scheller and Thomas Montgomery, fucking deserve each other. Alright. Both these people fucking deserve each other. They kept using their children to get away with monstrous acts. His daughters were not willing to lie under oath for him, and Cindy filed divorce papers while he was rotting in jail. Good for Cindy.
Good for Sydney.
Thomas didn't learn that the Jessie he was speaking to was a middle-aged woman until he was brought into custody.
That's incredible.
By
the way,
I want to be, when I die, I hope the universe rewards me with, like, hey, you know all these things you wanted to see? Now you get to be a fly on the wall and, like, watch as these fucking men's faces drop. I want to see it. But also I don't think it'll be that satisfying because he's, like, just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
The police showed him photos of Mary Scheller while he was in custody, and he spoke about how he did this for the 18-year-old who was the old love of his life. The 18-year-old, the love of his life, obviously. He was confused that the police said that the blood drained from his. He was confused, and the police said that the blood drained from his head and face, and the color was of the walls. Oh, sorry. Let me start over. He was confused, and the police said the blood drained from his head, and his face was the color of the walls, a pale shade of white, when they found out that Mary Scheller was Jesse.
Hilarious.
A taste of your own fucking medicine. Well, he was being held in jail. He tried to kill himself. He tried to OD on sleeping pills that he stole from another inmate.
Oh, pity.
He of course failed.
Pity.
And then was placed into more of an intensive watch, because when you try to fucking kill yourself in jail, they prevent it. Because you're not allowed to get out that easy. Sometimes. This case they did. This case they prevented him from killing himself.
They could put him in like a specific cell block and it would get interesting.
Oh yeah, I only wish. This is when he started to realize that the case against him was much stronger than he anticipated. He called his lawyer, and they stated that he was going to have to plead guilty to get a better deal. He pled guilty. But then, like a madman, he fired his first lawyer, got a new lawyer, and filed to appeal and remove his first plea to the court.
What a fucking idiot.
So he's like, oh yeah, I did this, I'm guilty. Fire that guy, get a new guy. I actually am going to put in several appeals. I was being coerced. I did not want to plead guilty. I didn't do anything. I didn't even kill Brian. I wasn't there that day. Like, he just fucking lies through his teeth. It's pretty.
He's like, oh shit, it's real. Oh shit, I'm going to go to jail. Oh my god. Not a guilty bone, like feeling of guilt.
Oh no,
I don't think
shame. I don't think he can feel shame in reality. Like, he says he feels shame, and like he felt dirty for talking for this 18-year-old. But if he did, he would have stopped. Yeah, no, he's an egomaniac.
That's disgusting.
He was, of course, denied, and his first plea of guilty was used. He said, quote, I entered the guilty plea when I wanted to. Why can't I get out of it when I want to? Sir.
That's not how this works. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Do you understand our criminal justice system? Because it feels like you don't.
No, clearly not, after everything that's been done.
You don't get to enter a guilty plea and be like, actually, you know what, never mind.
Just kidding. JK.
Just jokes, guys.
LOL.
Ignore that. Move on.
Just girly things.
The state had thousands of messages stating that he was going to hurt Brian, and threats against Jessie and her mother. He had threatened her mother in these chats also, which is hilarious for Mary
probably
to
laughing
get.
to herself, and she's like, you don't even know.
Oh,
I'm safe.
Jessie and her mother? You mean me? Just me.
Just me. Just me. Just good old mom. Ah.
They also found his DNA at the crime scene on the peach pit. Because he was eating while he was there.
And what year was this?
2006.
Okay. That's hilarious. Oh my god. Stop. I was not. I was much older.
Yeah, well, one of us had to be. I'll trade.
Anyways, proceed.
The peach pit left at the scene of the crime had DNA on it from him. But that's not it. During the interviews with Thomas and Brian's co-workers, Thomas had said that if he was ever going to kill someone, it would be Brian. First off, that's a terrible move. Why would you tell people that, oh, if I'm going to kill someone, I'm going to kill my coworker? Why tell people that? Like, murderers do this all the fucking time where they're like, oh, I'm actually just going to tell you all the details of this case. And then no one fucking reports it. Why did no one go to the police and be like, hey, my coworker keeps starting to kill my other coworker?
It's the bystander syndrome.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. It's been studied.
Yeah.
It's either people think that someone else will do it, so they'll never do it, or they think that they don't want to be involved in it, or they think that if they're involved in it, they'll somehow be, like, involved in it, like, blamed.
I also want to know, like, how the fuck did that come up in normal conversation?
Yeah, that's also a curiosity. Is someone just venting, like, oh, I'm gonna get home. I'm gonna finally get him one day. Just venting to themselves, and the coworker's like, okay, man, you have a good day. You're fucking crazy.
I'm so excited for, in our work lives, for the list of people you're gonna kill to come up in normal conversation, because I'm like, I don't know. No one? I want to know other people's. He also said that he would use a .30 caliber M1A1 gun, which is a military rifle. I had to look it up. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's because he wants to hold it for the first time.
The gun that killed Brian was never found, but when they arrested Thomas, they claimed that the gun cabinet that the FBI looked at was missing one. Was missing one of the guns. They were looking at also old family photos, and they saw that in that gun cabinet was an M1A1. But when they were checking the cabinet now, suddenly that gun was missing.
Strange.
Dude.
Peculiar.
Dude.
Strange.
When it came to time for his plea, Thomas said that he did not kill Brian. And then of course was reminded he had to admit guilt because he had already pleaded guilty. And then said he did kill him. He killed him with a .30 caliber M1A1. The judge asked him if he meant to kill Brian, and he said no. Because like he's constantly trying to be like, I didn't do it. Oh, actually, I did do it.
It was an accident.
And then, oh, did you mean to? No.
My bullet somehow flew into his body 3 times. It was very, very weird for me. I don't know what happened.
The stenographer wrote down that his lawyer then nudged him, and he repeated, yes, I did mean to.
Yeah. Sorry. Reenactment.
No.
Yeah.
You don't get to.
No.
Yes, he did mean to kill Brian. So Brian's father wrote a victim impact statement. Victim impact statements are pretty interesting. They're usually written by the family or close friends of the deceased member, and they're read aloud in court. Because the person who hurt deserves to know how much they've ruined everyone's life. Some murderers get off on that, though. So
that's gross.
It's a like 50-50 shot of whether or not you should do it. I've watched quite a few victim impact statements. The ones that I think are the most jarring and really worth like taking a look at are victim impact statements of school shooters' families. Those ones are horrific, but often really like prove the point that the school shooter is like crazy, like not insane, but like a monster, because those people's reactions to it is absurd. Some of them laugh at them, some of them like smile the entire time, and some of them like lose their mind and start screaming.
That's probably like few and far in between too, because don't a lot of them kill themselves or get shot by the police? Yeah,
a lot of them choose to get shot by the police. They choose that. He read this victim impact statement, how he couldn't understand why his son was taken over petty jealousy. It is a completely beautiful statement. I do recommend looking into it if you can. I will not be playing any part of it because I think if I watch it for a second time, I will cry, because the first time I watched it, I cried really hard and like had to keep rewinding it to like write it down.
Viewer discretion.
Yeah. Thomas was sentenced to 20 years in prison.
That's it?
20.
That's it?
Yeah.
We could just go out and murder people, and then we can just do 20 and then do it again.
He has appealed his case, saying that his lawyers pressured him into pleading guilty, but all of his appeals have been denied because there's malice and forethought. He slashed his tires. That shows that he thought about it. He threatened Brian over multiple points. Over
2 different people.
2 different people, online, in letters, to his girlfriend /
He really
mistress.
left a good trail. Like,
yes.
the physical trail that he left was crazy.
If you're going to be a murderer, at least be bad at it. Because then we're going to catch you. I do recommend that all murderers be bad at what they do. That's pretty fun. It would have been better if he like was so dumb that he accidentally shot himself in the face. That would have been great.
That would have been so
I would have loved that case. The police were hoping that they could charge Mary Scheller with something, as she played a huge part in Brian's death, but technically, by the law, she has done nothing illegal.
That's disgusting.
It gets a little worse. And by a little, I mean a lot.
Okay, incredible.
She tried to make herself out to be a hero, saying that the reason she talked to Thomas so long is so that he wouldn't go and talk to real teenagers. Bull fucking shit. Bullshit. Don't play this. You're not.
Oh, you're playing the martyr in this. You're playing like the holy saint. I rescued him. I stole him away so he couldn't talk to all these youngins. No.
She used her real daughter's photos. And the police were able to prove that the camera she used to take the photo of her daughter's skirt was sent to multiple men saying, quote, "Guys, do you like it?" She sent that to over 30 men.
That's disgusting.
And that's the low end of the numbers I could find. There's multiple points where like they say like it's much more, but 30 is the low end that it was consistent.
Gross.
Jessie didn't find out that her mother had done this until after her friends started finding out about the case, which is just horrific. Because it became really big, and there's a Dateline episode on it.
I was gonna say, I hope the mother's life is ruined.
She then brought this up with her father, who also had no fucking idea that his wife had done this. He was.
How are all these people spending so much time doing these things and like no one's
I don't know.
noticing?
I believe Mary's also a stay-at-home mom, and her daughter's in high school, so there was
Time
at least
during the
8
day.
hours a day that she was by herself, where her husband's working and her daughter's out. He was surprised, but said, quote, "It was a running joke that Mary could get out of anything she wanted to if she just cried her way out of it. That shouldn't be a family joke. That's not funny. Like, my family joke is that we're a bunch of like creepy people because my mom has a collection of fake teeth that was given to her by children she babysat. Like, that's a funny joke.
That's not, though.
Saying that, oh, my wife can get out of anything she wants if she just cries enough, no. He then filed for divorce, and Jessie cut off all contact with her mother. Mary has never apologized to her child. The only time she has ever talked about it was with the BBC, saying of it, quote, just happened.
Ew!
Quote,
and also, what would an apology do for
nothing,
the child?
but like,
really.
but you should apologize. You were a monster.
Yeah, but...
She also said, quote, it was stupid and should never have gone that far. Quote, that she never thought it would get that far. And my favorite, quote, I'm thinking about writing a book about the dangers of the internet. You are the dangers of the internet. You are the monster. If she didn't do this.
This is literally like OJ.
If she didn't do this, Thomas wouldn't have gotten involved. Brian would have not been dead. Her daughter would not have had all this stuff connected to her. His children would not have lost their father, been guilt-tripped. Sydney would still be with like a shitty man, but like just a shitty man. Her husband wouldn't have to have knowledge that, oh, my wife did all this.
That's so fucking crazy. Please tell me she doesn't have a book.
Not that I could find.
Oh, okay.
Brian's parents are trying to petition to get a law made to prevent people like Mary from getting away with their crimes. As of today, no such law has been made.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still completely legal.
Real progress, people.
This is a quote that I think is very important. John J. D. Franks, the first deputy district attorney, said it best. Everyone in this case seemed to be deceiving each other in every way. Everyone except for the victim. So, that's TallHotBlond. I'm sorry that I have ruined all chance and semblance of the internet, but it was interesting.
I knew it was a bad place, but, you know.
And now I get to move this case over to the completed side. If I could open my binder. Alright. Thanks.